Welcome to the B2T show, where we empower Christian patriots with truth. This is Rick, your host. All right, here we are on the day before Easter, right after Good Friday. I know we rushed through the decodes last time, so I wanted to kind of spend a little bit more time on those decodes that we went over from the 10th. There was a lot on 4, 10, 20. A lot of people were disappointed because they're expecting all these big arrests, but there was some really cool stuff that came through, especially the first indictments being kind of announced that have come from John Durham, right? That I think they came out on the Hannity radio show. We'll go over some of that in a little more detail. I know Praying Betty did a great job detailing out some more stuff. And since I've been working on this new course all day, I haven't had a chance to dig into the decodes. I'm just going to use that again. I think that was a great way to kind of get to gene stuff quicker. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go make sure we get through Praying Medic's analysis and then get into Gene's decode as soon as possible on the Underground War. This is part 2, so we start getting into some fun stuff now. Part 1 was pretty much the summary of it all, but had some great, cool pictures of some classified aircraft, etc. But let's get into this. We have a lot of people already on. I love it. I saw people going, I can't wait till this starts. Martino, who's up first on, says, "What's up, Rick?" All the way from the East Los Angeles. Got Kelly from North Carolina saying she can't wait for this to start. And so, where else are you guys from? I'm going to move the backstage people around so I can see better. As you know, I have 2 screens in front of me. One you guys can see, and then I have all my other chat and everything else going on the other screen, as well as my OBS software. If you want to join me backstage, you'll be able to see a lot of that. There's a big other camera showing my whole studio right up there. So thank you guys for coming on backstage. I am backstage. It's going to be a shorter one today because I have a lot going on. I see Christina from New Zealand on. I see Ireland, Blue Haven from Ireland. I've got Harry from Maryland, California's in the house, Wyoming's in the house, Oklahoma's in the house, Montana's in the house. We got New Jersey in the house, Anaheim in the house, Kentucky in the house. It's awesome to see you guys all coming on so quickly. Let's get this going. Hey, what I'm looking at right now, Out of the Shadows was amazing, Damien. Yeah, that's actually going to start with that. That's funny that you mentioned that, Damien, because right here is Out of the Shadows. This just got launched yesterday. I've watched just a little bit of it, but I want to watch it with my wife, so I'm going to I've watched all the trailers and watched about the first 25 minutes of this or so. But it is awesome. I hear it's really good, especially when you get to the Liz Crocombe places, but it's very blunt about things. So again, go to Out of the Shadows. No, I'm sorry. No, Out of Shadows with an S. outofshadows.org. Really appreciate if you guys would go there and spam this to all your social media. Again, outofshadows.org. And this is just a movie length film done in movie length quality. It's a documentary. It's like you can see it's a minute and 17 seconds, or a minute and 18 seconds or so. I mean, an hour and 18 minutes. An hour and 18 minute movie-like character, Out of the Shadow. So again, go there. There's a bunch of trailers. You can also forward those if you'd rather forward the trailers to get people real interested in them. That might be even a better idea. Is to just go to one of the 4 trailers you like best and send them to the different type of people. If you have the time to do that, that would be awesome. And so they actually were interviewed on In the Matrix show. If you want to go back, I think it was yesterday. I think they premiered it again today. Incredible interview by Liz and Michael and all the people who put this together. So again, I just want to make sure that we advertise that, and it's going to be exciting. Here's my my sponsor for the day, and you know who that is. It's Noble Gold. They're my number 1 sponsor. I'm going to read a different thing that they talk about here, and it's like you want to get these guys to kind of, I always recommend having nice balance to your portfolio, right? And having an IRA, a 401k, and precious metals makes a lot of sense. Call them at 877-646-5347. In 6 months' time, or a year, or however long it takes to short out the stock market and the virus situation, where will you be? Financially, will you be in the same place? Will you be worse off? Or will you be better off? If you're losing money in the stock market right now and your retirement fund is taking a hammering, you need to do something different. quick. You don't have to be a victim of the markets. By using some precious metals to back up your investments, you can give yourself a safety net to protect you and your family from financial disaster. You can put these into your IRA or 401k rollover and get a tax break on them to boost your returns even further. Noble Gold has helped hundreds of clients to do this, and the review on customer sites show how happy folks are with the results. Join them. Talk to Noble Gold Specials today. Again, you're going to call this number right up here on the screen if you're on YouTube. That's 877-646-5347. There's also a link in the bottom of the YouTube video here in the description. All right, let's look at some of these April 9th posts and April 10th post. So we had where the state actors trying to blackmail people in power. We know the answer to that. FISA indictments equals start. We get all this on the 9th. Bill Barr's interview with Laura Ingraham really showing that there was illegal activity as far as surveilling the Trump campaign. We'll find out later. It also is going to include the Cruz campaign. Invisible enemy. You can see talking about Trump says he is a wartime president. We know that's true. We see Malik Obama putting the where we go, one we go all. I'm just going to quickly review these because we went over these in detail in prior episodes. But you can see April 9th, we kept getting these. Patriots stand at the ready. We stand at the ready, right? The truth is right in front of you. We got Q Patriot from Rwanda. We saw that, right? Now on April 10th, here we go. We got this together we will win. Where we go one, we go all. And just talked about all the departures. It was interesting. This is U.S. ATT. This is one of the first we've seen that installed. That's U.S. attorneys. That's we've seen this, DOJ install, CIA install, but this is a U.S. attorney install, which is quite exciting if you think it. Even think ambassador departures. That's starting to happen now because of the whole ambassadors happening because of obviously the impeachment and all the crap going on with all those people getting and the State Department finally getting cleaned out and bringing it down to like 50% of what it was during the Obama years when he exploded it out. Patriots making date predictions are harming the movement and arming the MSM. So we got to be really careful about dates. When we're here's Trump coronavirus campaign and ad features Joe Biden cheerleading for China. We've seen those videos, right? That's quite wild. Evil has been allowed to flourish through all parts of our society. And that's exactly what's happened here. What's interesting here is that I'm gonna get to show you how Praying Medic did a great job framing these, and that's why I'm just going to kind of review them real quickly with you. Here's a whole one that talks to summarize this. Crossfire Hurricane team had multiple reports disputing many material claims of the Steele dossier. And the easiest way I like to explain it to it is you guys got to understand there's a Woods file. Actually, Mueller came up with it, saying because of the FISA abuses we had in the past, they came up with this really detailed spreadsheet that showed every single time you have a FISA, you have to show that you had probable cause and exact pieces of evidence to support it. Well, they violated the Woods procedure completely, and that is going to really kill the Crossfire Hurricane team. And they are going to be because they broke the Woods procedures. The very thing they set up, that Mueller set up. This is like the Haman type thing. Mueller sets up the Woods procedures to require documenting the heck out of the FISA. They didn't do it. And that very thing is going to come right around and hang his whole FBI, right? Obviously, Mueller was all part of the FBI during much of this criminality that happened, and that very procedure is going to capture Comey and McCabe and Strzok and Baker and all, who's the attorney there. And this is a kind of a cool one. The indictment tracking placeholders. The most exciting thing about this is that this was on a different board. This is on the one that is only Q posts on, and he put these placeholders months ago. So for him to be posting here on 4/10/20 was a big deal. And I just want to make sure we understood that. And that was, I think, all the posts that we got. But that was a lot of cool stuff on 4/10/20. Let's see how Praying Medic expanded on that. We went to like the first 38 posts or so. I think we ended right here. Until 41 goes, a lot of intentional misspellings were found in the DOJ IG report on FISA abuse related to James Comey. And this is really wild because here's the white hats purposely trolling Comey, because in the past he would do this all the time. If they didn't want his name to come up in sensitive reports, they would actually put Corney instead, Corney, and they would make this the R and the N so close together, any normal reader is just going to read it as Comey. But when you do a computer search, it actually turns up Corney, Corney. So this is a really interesting thing. But if you go look real closely at this, you'll see right here. Here's a good example of it. Instead of saying Comey, the R and the N, but it was also adjusted purposely when it printed to have the R and the N close together to really make it look like Comey. So if you just look at that from a distance, you're just going to think that says C-O-M. And that is exactly what is real curious about that. That to me, it's just a troll of the White Hats saying, we know what you did in the past, and now we've researched Corney and all these other misspellings of all your other names, and we have it all. I think that's just awesome. 42 says, Q hinted that the misspellings were relevant and related to U.S. Attorney Durham. So here was this post on December 17th said, remember misspellings matter, Durham. 5-3, 1 through 99, Q. That was way back in December. Speaking of U.S. attorneys, the abbreviation U.S. attorney stands for U.S. attorney, USATT. We just talked about that, right? In the 41020 post. And we got John Solomon confirmed that subpoenas have been issued on behalf of the U.S. Attorney John Durham. Here you got breaking. Even though we all expected it, John Solomon just confirmed seconds ago that Sean Hannity radio show, this was yesterday, that multiple D.C. grand jury subpoenas have been issued on behalf of U.S. Attorney John Durham. So we know that they're working, or actually have D.C. grand jury subpoenas. That is now absolutely official. Now, Q posted a link above, and it says the subpoenas would likely be in connection with Durham's investigation of the FISA abuse against President Trump. And it said it turned criminal, right? We know that from a while ago, that these are criminal investigations with subpoenas. And right here we see law.cornell@edu Wex subpoena. This was a FYI about a subpoena is a written order to compel an individual to give testimony on a particular subject, often before the court, but sometimes in other proceedings such as congressional inquiry. Failure to comply with such an order to appear may be punishable as contempt. The rule of control subpoenas in federal matters are found in Rule 17, the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, and Rule 45 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. A subpoena can be more formally referred to as a subpoena ad testic. What is that? Canondum. A subpoena to testify. So basically, they're getting testimony from about all the criminal investigations, and we know that FISA equals START, right? For the last 2 years, Q has posted on 2 boards. One board is the Q Research Board, where Anons can comment on his post. So he'll post there, and Anons will just go wild over it every time he posts, right? He also has a read-only board for posts that do not require interaction. The current read-only board is, you can see this /project DCOMS. Read carefully. So this is what he put in here. This was a while ago. I'm not going to read all this, but it basically just talks about U.S. Code S2385, right? And this is read-only, only Q posts on this board. And you can see it's quite lengthy, but it's just talking about all the criminal treasonous acts that will cover on 18 U.S. Code Section 2385. Today, Q provided, and this was yesterday, the first placeholder on Project DCOMS. A placeholder is actually what it sounds like. It's a marker that holds a place for a future event. Placeholders posted by Q predict future events in the exposure and prosecution of corruption. Placeholder indictment tracking, non-civilian, right? So this is probably going to be military. I guess it could be Congress. Set 1 has 1 through 6. And it has placeholder indictments tracking civilians. Placeholder acts of treason plus support articles. Placeholder foreign acts publication placeholder FISAP publication. For those who are new, before 810 was deplatformed, these were the placeholder posts on the board at Patriots Fight. So again, when it got deplatformed, they put it back up. They didn't hold up these placeholders. So these are different placeholders. So that's why it might give us an idea of what other things are coming, but they're not active. The ones that are active is this first one, right, on this read-only board called Project Decoms. Hope that makes sense, right? Now we see corrupt officials will be prosecuted in either military trials or civilian courts. This placeholder will track indictments in civilian and non-civilian military courts. It will also track acts of treason and supporting articles, foreign articles, and matters related to the FISA, as we've seen. As for the numbers 1 through 6, I believe, though I'm not certain, the names of defendants will be filled in as indictments are unsealed. Another possibility is 1 through 6 could be the charges listed in the first indictment that will be unsealed. Q said there will be 9 counts in the indictment against the person who spied on Flynn. 1 count will be for illegally modifying the FBI 302 report. 2 counts will be for listening in on the conversation. 6 counts are yet to be revealed. So this was back all the way in 12/16. December 16th is when we learned about these 9 counts, right? So that's going to be coming. We know that. I know people are impatient, but a lot of fun stuff's going on. 54 here is there are 6 empty places in this placeholder. My guess is that they will be populated with counts from the indictment when it's unsealed. Some have wondered why there is no Q signature for this post. Well, the reason is they never have posts because the other ones you had to sign them because he's with all the anons. This is the read-only board. You know it's from Q. No need to sign it, right? Since 1 through 6 are listed under the non-civilian category, I believe the 6 counts will fall under the jurisdiction of a military commission. That's what Praying Medic's saying. If my theory is correct, the placeholders might look something like this. Charge 1, Charge 2, Charge 3, for the 6 indictments. Since the first placeholder category pertains to the military and it appears to be connected with the surveillance of General Flynn, I wonder if the indictment might be against this James Baker, Director of Office of Net Assessment at the Pentagon. Baker was accused in the court filing by Sidney Powell of leaking the transcripts of Flynn in December 2016 telephone calls to then Russian ambassador Sergei Kislyak. And then we see here, 60, Baker had regularly scheduled lunches with the Washington Post David Ignatius. We've seen that a lot. This Washington Post guy is a total shill for the deep state, who published the first article about Flynn's phone calls on January 12, 2017. Then it ends here. It says the first indictment may not be against Baker, but a military venue would point to someone in the Defense Department unless the military plans to prosecute civilians involved in Spygate. So that's that. I just wanted to kind of wrap up where we were on the Q post, and that gets us to, if we refresh to make sure Q didn't post while we're talking here. Nope. So that's where we started on the indictment tracking procedures, as well as knowing there's actually grand jury subpoenas from Durham on the criminal investigation. That's the exciting 4/10/20 event that happened. Now let's get into Gene. Gene actually made it a PDF, so I won't be able to change any of the text, but it won't freeze on us either because it's a smaller file. And so I wanted to bring that up if I can find it here. That's the Underground War, and then right here is the Dumb Decode Part 1, where we just finished up on the sewer fires. And I'm not sure how much of a summary you want to do of what we've already gone over.
I think we're pretty good for summary. I just wanted to comment because lots of people are still talking about the seal, presidential seal and presidential flag not being present when Trump is talking, and that the president and the vice president are appearing together and all of that. They're protected, number one. We're in a state of emergency, which has been declared on our Safford Act. So we're in a state of war. So he's not in that condition. He's actually moved up in rank, as we would say in the military. He's not the president, which was actually a corporate thing up until, if you remember the Decode, people remember the Decode I did on him going to the UK and what occurred where he took over the Virginia banking system that we were under. and he's the head of that corporation as the president, but he's moved up from that, and he's the commander-in-chief. In a state of war, the president moves up in rank. He becomes the commander-in-chief of the Joint Military Task Force. As I had stated earlier, all the task force are united. He's called up 1 million reservists. NORAD is in high alert, and they have tanks and all that, yes, all over the country, because not to round us up again. Feed and faith, people. Pay attention, do your due diligence, and do your research. If that were true, then we would be rounding up now. But that's to keep FFs from happening, as well as to clear out certain individuals that are would put us in harm's way. And so pay attention, do your research, and look at what's going on worldwide. Look at the stars with the tracking bracelets and other people, and pay attention to sealed indictments being opened, numbers going up and down, all of that, the pedophile arrests, etc. So that said, continuing with the underground war details, again, thank you to High Vibratory Photography for his amazing compilation and editorial work. As we said,
yes,
with this link we saw here, the underground fires that we're seeing in California are now also seen in the UK and England. Scroll up, please, Rick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For most of humanity, this underground earth network defies the imagination. I realize when I say things like there's over 10,000 DUMBs, deep underground military bases worldwide, and over 100,000 miles of tunnels, that it boggles the imagination and the comprehension.
Yes.
So that being said, where would they get the manpower? In the U.S. alone, there's 800,000 kids missing every year since the 40s. So there's great-great-great-grandchildren that have been born into this all their lives down there, like the pictures of children. I don't know if you have those, the ones I sent, Rick, but that are coming out of the dumps in New York. I also have reports of that occurring in several other cities with MASH tents, where the MASH tents have to be set up close to the tunnels. And so because of that reason is that these kids can't be transported very far. They're so fragile, and it has to be done at night, because that's why it's not being seen much. They're going in there with night vision for two reasons: cover, and then also because the kids can't come out in the light of day. They've never been in the light of day for most of these kids ever. They've been in cages and being shocked and brutalized all their lives. And the ones that are older that have been gone into the Mark Ultra programs, used as slave labor down there, etc. The money for all this is really simple. Massive slave trade, due to what I just mentioned, and children and trafficking and drugs and all that. They have a massive budget, plus the trillions, like $23 trillion missing from our budget that was never accounted for. They took out the information on that when they took out Building 7 and that part of the Pentagon, like I mentioned earlier. So, you know, as I mentioned, Project Mark Rand is the dumb alternative 2 in the book, or excuse me, alternative 3 in the book by Leslie Watkins. If you get that book, it's to build deep underground military bases so that they have a place to hide when they were going to do what they were going to do, so that they could then wipe out us and be down there until the radiation and everything settled and everything was brought under control up here, and then have all their food and stores and beautiful places to live down there with holograms that makes it look really beautiful, like you're above ground and all that. And they had seed banks and, you know, energy systems and water systems and hydroponics and everything they needed, and seed banks to come up and, you know, replant the earth and everything. That was their plan. It was for the Illuminati, for the elites. It's not for us. We don't have a ticket. It's like George Carlin said, it's a club and you're not in it. So yeah. That's the case with us. So could you scroll up there a little, Rick, please?
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. Keep going. So alternative one was to blast holes in the atmosphere to let out the ozone so we would fry. Essentially, that's why the ozone holes. And they were, if you remember back in the 90s, the shuttles were dragging 16-mile long copper wires that were highly energized to ionize Earth's atmosphere as well. And then alternative two is the bases off planet that I mentioned, especially backstage. It's, again, like I said, it's all for the satanic bloodlines. And so the best of the Earth's population, alternative two is to take the best of the Earth's population. In other words, what they believe the best is the satanic bloodlines in massive underground caverns and these dumps, deep underground military bases. So scroll up, please, Rick.
Okay.
And alternative three. Sorry, I got that switched around.
Bob Photography sent me some more stuff, so I'm looking for it while you're talking. Go ahead.
Okay. Was the to build the off-world bases. Scroll up, please, Rick. Mm-hmm. So alternative two is primarily done by technologies developed by Mark Rand of the Rand Corporation and the Rand family, which is one of the big bloodline families. And within the United States, the 1,400 I found out is way low. It's actually 10,000 worldwide. I know of the information saying there's 288 DUMs in the U.S. They've been building 2 a year. And so the ones listed here, although I know of 288, I'm not going to report on ones I'm not sure of. So this will just be the ones I'm sure of. So the average depth of the bases is 4.25 miles underground, and each dumb base costs roughly between $17 and $26 billion to build. As I said earlier, that's funded by drug money from the MI6, the CIA, as well as human trafficking, things like Jeffrey Epstein was doing, and the Clinton Foundation and all these big families and all the movie stars as well. Each underground base employs 10,000 to 18,000 workers. Again, those are slaves. They've been down there all their life. They're all Mark Ultra from the day they're born.
Wow. They use a lot of people.
Yeah, you've got millions of people, because if you do the math, if they're only keeping 400,000 a year from the U.S. that they're taking because they need to have their adrenochrome and that stuff, and we multiply that out, we're saying that that's from 1945 that they started doing that, which is actually earlier than that, but it hit that number by 1945, which is 75 years that they have 400,000 kids a year for 75 years.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you said, 10 years, 450,000 kids for 10 years, that you've been taking them for 10 years, then you would have 4.5 million people down there. But now you got to multiply that by at least 3 times that. So you've got literally 10, 12, 15 million easy. So these are the fires, like I was mentioning, that are happening in the UK and in England. You can see they're burning out the DUMs there. And so what you're seeing right there, the explosions of fire, that's flamethrowers, because the people that are contaminated with things like crude that are highly contagious, that are fighting down there against the white hats, they do allow them to surrender if they will, but if they keep fighting, they can't get into hand-to-hand combat with them because they're contagious. So they have to literally do what you see here as flamethrowers.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
Unfortunate, but that's the way it is, and that's the way war is. And we're in a state of war. Like I said earlier, Trump's commander-in-chief of a worldwide effort in combination with Xi and Putin. They're playing the deep state big time. It's optics. A lot of what you're saying, you got to realize, read Sun Tzu. I recommend everybody read Sun Tzu's Art of War. That is what is being waged by both sides. Infiltration.
You can see if we can hear that. Yeah, you can hear. Yeah, you can hear that. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and again, if for those that say that's just like gases in the sewers and things, we've had sewers for 100, 200 years, especially down in third world countries like in India or in Mexico, where you have to hold your breath going over sewer grates. The gases and the smells coming out are so bad, but we haven't seen this. Why are we seeing it now with the same time we see an upswing in earthquakes worldwide by 90%? And look at the profile for those earthquakes.
Yeah.
Little earthquakes all over to big earthquakes that don't have the correct P wave structure. That means they're not natural. So these drills and systems they use are mostly now they use nuclear powered that use fusion that melt their way through the rock. You use some of that material, a lot of it for fuel for the system, and then the rest is made a smooth glass-like covering around the tunnel. And as I was, not only do these systems have massive seed and hydroponics and cities that are beautiful for them with animals and birds and plants and everything like that, so it looks like you're above ground with hologram skies over you and all of that. They also contain massive computer centers and servers. They use these for genetic experimentation, clone mills, mind control research, high energy technology research, all the control systems and developing systems, what are called spark grids, to develop massive grids to develop kids in cages into Mark Ultra bots, what they're calling in the programs. They're called marionettes because you control them with strings. Essentially, they're implanted the personalities when they come up, and they develop the alters. If they don't develop that and they fight back and they're not able to do that, then they're used for sacrifice. The ones that do, they implant the various personalities with chips that can be activated by microwave signal from the phone or towers, and then they bring satanic rituals to bring demonics to control those personalities and then program them. And as I was saying, they also have some dumps areas where they have every movie ever made, every TV series have. They're all in entertainment and everything down there. High-end, top-secret weapons, aircraft facilities, as well as massive. They don't have it now. The gold's being repatriated. They had massive gold and stores and food storage. A lot of the food storage, because the shelves for a while were raided. A lot of the food storage and toilet paper and things that were coming back on the shelves were the reverse of the big trucks and everything rolling into all these big underground dumps like under Kansas City. We're rolling backwards, taking the stuff back for us that they had stole from us. Mm-hmm. And so they have demonic living areas as well for the demonics, and satanic temples like the Council of Nine and the Council of Six have their own temples that they used to have under Iron Mountain. They took those out when Trump first got in. The black budget garners about 25% of our gross national product, and this black budget currently consumes $1.25 trillion per year. And the dumb projects, scroll up please, Rick, consume 90% of this black budget. So that's a lot of money. You're talking over $1 trillion a year. Mm-hmm. Alone just to build dumps. So they have the funding, that's for sure. There are approximately 50 ways tunnels and underground facilities are dug and formed, which include high pressure continuous water jet, low pressure water jet, percussive water jets, electric drills, turbine drills, pellet drills, spark drills, explosives, hydraulic rock hammers, lasers, electron beams and particle beams, forced flame, nuclear, as I mentioned earlier, the nuclear powered boring machines. They'll often have a little tiny boring machine they drop from the surface. It digs a little tunnel all the way down that they can drop a nuclear bomb down, a neutron bomb, which once it detonates, you have a big, huge cavern. They just wait for it to cool and go in there, bore into it from the side, go in there. There's no residual radiation from a neutron bomb. It's all neutron radiation. And then once that's done, and it's cool, they go in and put in the infrastructure. So there's many various methods. So primarily categorically stating them, you have the mechanical types such as the water cannon, the thermal types such as lasers, atomic fusion, particle beams, etc., chemical types such as the dissolver that dissolves rock, the nuclear powered systems such as the subterranes, which rhymes with submarines, so you can remember it. It's kind of my thing. I'm submariners. I was in submarines for 20 years. So the nuclear subterranes build tunnels 40 feet in diameter as they work through the rock. It's, as I described before, making that glassy lining. And fully filter the air as they go, so they have fresh air supplied to them. They literally make air from the rock as well, because rock does have air in it. And then the underground facilities have fuel and storage units and air conditioning, water reservoirs, dining, medical, full cities, and all the things I mentioned before, the movies, TV, massive computers, DNA storage. Many trucks have been driving. I have people I actually know now from the first show I did on this that have driven all the way across the country underground. So there's trucks that we're delivering to these big storage facilities for them. So some of the big 18-wheel truck drivers know much about this, and we have some video links for that in this. Lots of these entrances are protected by holograms. So they look just like the side of a mountain or the ground. And then a lot of them are disguised as well. So if you're looking for them, go look for odd, sudden. Nature doesn't do geographic shapes that are perfect, like spheres, circles, ovals, squares, rectangles, or sudden changes in those shapes of the gradient of the lay of the land. So and you'd also look for ventilation pipes. And don't scroll on me yet, Rick. Go back up, please.
Okay.
And power cables coming in and out of the ground. The other style of hidden entrances that trucks drive into is just going into what looks like a regular building in a city, and then they'll have ramps like an aircraft carrier that lower it down into the facilities. Most of these facilities are either guarded by Wackenhut, which is a private security system, or by, scroll up please, Rick, or by Homeland Security and other they do routine drills, so they know how to penetrate them, and then they know how to repel that penetration. So these units are called OP-06-Deltas. The new Army program to train and to fight underground now that they have. Go to that link, please, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
that link didn't come to where we were supposed to.
Yeah, so go to the next link.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same thing again.
Wonder if it's so we'll have to fix those links. We'll bring those up tomorrow. I mean, next time we do this.
Yeah, sorry about that. So there's 18 out of every 21 Army are now being trained to regiments are being trained to fight underground. They've been given $500,000 in funding to train and to get the materials and weaponry and different technologies they need to fight underground.
I'm going to try this one more time by just copying it versus clicking it, see if that gets me better luck.
Same thing.
Wow, I wonder if that is just really weird.
Wait, go back to that, Rick.
Uh-huh.
Click on the Modern War Underground.
Yeah,
might be us. It might be me, but yeah, there you are.
That is weird. Well, that link's not working, but probably something that's changed in YouTube. But you can see tons of underground training, subterranean warfare, they call it. Right?
They're talking about how they train. You can see the captions here for fighting underground. There's an interview I watched where the guy said that he was being interviewed on the radio and a television as well, how he's been underground for as long as 17 hours straight at a time, which is an interesting statement. 17.
Yeah, that is interesting stuff here. And this kind of goes all over what all the money they're spending to actually do this, as they train to be literally underground and attacking and breaking through things. There they are fighting off dogs. They are obviously with underground subterranean training. A great video if you want to go watch that one. So you'll have the link here. I'm sure it'll work for you.
Let's try the other one, see if I spot it too.
Yeah, I'm gonna copy this and see if that helps me here.
So it'll probably take us to a website and it might spot the underground training.
We like MK14s. What is that?
That looks like under ice training, which they have underground, actually under ice bases, of course, in Antarctica, but they also have under ice bases in Greenland, which is ice worm base has been completely taken over. Yeah. A lot of the high-end prisoners are under the ice in Greenland.
Yeah, it's odd that those links aren't working. We'll get those working for next show.
They keep changing stuff. Try this one.
This is a Twitter link, so I should get that. Truthhammer, the account does not exist. They killed his account.
Man, they don't want us reporting anymore. I think that was the interview too.
But we got a copy.
The guy about, so read these Twitter posts here, Rick.
Yeah, if tunnels are a minor thing, we have 28 of 31 Army brigades trained for subterranean combat. Commander, I've been underground for up to 17 hours. Isn't that interesting? Trainer, wait until you get into the deep underground facility and the power's cut. That's scary. And there's a whole link here to this video that we just were showing you. It says, and there's some more discussion here. An assessment of 2017 estimates that there are about 10,000 large-scale underground military facilities around the world that are intended to serve as subterranean cities. An Army source told military.com. Army stated hardcore mass training in 2018. Trump jumped on this as soon as he took office, almost like there was already a plan just waiting to go hot. Yes, the coronavirus pandemic will forever alter the world order, but not in the way they hoped it would. This is where IET-17 says that will be, but it's going to be God's order, not Satan's. And here is this Truthhammer saying, what are tunnels for? The global elite have controlled most of the countries and used the nation's wealth to build frickin' tunnels. 100,000 of miles, 10,000 large underground facilities, some the size of cities. Is this frickin' sci-fi? Crazy stuff, Gene.
Yeah, so again, for people that are saying, prove to me anything's happening, go look up the Army funding and see the $500,000 that Trump did when he got in 2000, in the 2018 budget to fund for underground base military base takeouts. Why would they do that if nothing's happening? You see these people training. Go to and meet people in the Army around these bases and see if you can go to clubs and things or cafes near the bases and talk to people. And once in a while you get somebody to actually say, yes, I do training and such things like that. They may not say specifics, but they may acknowledge the fact that we do train that way.
You're right. And we got a list of known dumbs in the USA, and boy, there's a lot of them.
So the coding here is that, as you see, as we go through this, if you see the plus sign, it's under white hat controlled. If you see a asterisk, children were rescued. If you see the upwards caret, it's under battle. So it's being fought for control. Scroll up, please, Rick.
Preston just sent me another thing, so I'm just grabbing that real quick, but I'll let you. Okay.
And then the equal sign is under black hat controlled. And then the approximate sign is destroyed by a tactical nuke lava. So a lot of the ways they're sometimes taking these are some of the ones that are near, like in Idaho, that are near a active volcano, like the super volcano that is Yellowstone. They go to lava tubes that come up to that. A small tube, they'll take out the side of one of the small tubes.
Here
Go
is
back to that video. That was interesting. It looked like Army Navy Secretary something.
Yeah, here's what he sent me, though. It was right here.
Great.
U.S. Army. And look at this is April of 2017. Right after Trump's in office. U.S. Army rapid equipping force subterranean exercise. So people that don't believe this is happening just haven't done research. And that's what Gene's exposed here in quite detail. And that's why we decided to do
Stop
this.
Emailing me and saying, prove to me anything's happening. Do your due diligence and do your research. It's not my job to prove to you. If you have questions, prove it to yourself. Do the research.
Yeah, but there's
not that hard to find. Google's somewhat open now. You can do research.
And what I'm going to do is I put whatever we go over, as you know, in every video I do, I put the show notes of every single link that I have, and everything I go over will be in the show notes. So sign up, go to blessedteach.com, blessed with the number 2 teach.com. Sign up. I'll send those to you every morning. Okay.
Yeah.
Also,
so
if
you see that last picture the guy had in the iPad, the little pad.
Yeah.
That's tunnel maps.
Right. Yeah, because there's so many of them, they have to track them down, right?
Yeah. Ground penetrating radar from satellite is a lot of how they get that.
Yeah, interesting. So anyway, go to blessed2teach.com, and also for those of you backstage, tonight I'm gonna be putting the whole thing there. So this is where you just sign up for the email list to get the show notes right here, right? You can just go see the show notes as well. And then also, if you go to backstage right here, this is where you'll see the entire look at the size of this document that you're gonna have tonight. It is 159 pages. We're on page 29, so this is gonna be 5 or 6 shows. We're going to go over this in detail, but the backstage will get a sneak peek of some of the stuff. Go ahead, Gene. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So first of all, we'll start with Alaska.
Sorry, I wonder if I didn't know if there's any more of this we wanted to look at real quick. Look
No,
at
we're
these
good there.
machines.
People have been seeing that, and they can go in the show notes to the links and listen to these in their entirety, which is really excellent to do, to see all what's, if you need proof especially, go and watch.
Yeah.
So the Brooks Range area in Alaska, which is the Schwatka Mountains, was a facility that did genetic works and has unknown tunnels and other unknown facilities and things. That's been cleaned out, as well as the Delta Junction and Fort Greely in the same Delta Junction area. So you can go to this link, please, Rick.
Okay.
Wow, they keep taking everything out, so we can't find things.
We're gonna have to continue to
Okay, go back. Never mind.
Yeah, we'll fix
They
that.
don't
too.
want us to cover this, do they? You're over target with removing your ammo from your gun.
I'm gonna do when they do that. Sometimes I do this trick. I copy the actual title,
Oh, that's
and
a
then
good one, Rick.
sometimes
Never thought of that one. That's excellent.
Sometimes I can find this. Delta Junction. There it is. We found
Nice.
it.
Oh, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an excellent picture of Delta Junction. So thank you, High Vibratory Photography, for all your wonderful editing and finding all of this information here to update the information I had previously. It's really excellent now.
Yeah, so you can have all kinds of information here. So remember, if the links don't work in the document, just copy, like I just did there, to the title within the link, because they'll break some links on purpose on us, right? So but if you do it, you're going to find it somewhere else.
That's pretty sweet technique, Rick. I've learned something. Thank you.
Yeah.
You taught me something new.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. There's a picture of it there. Delta Junction.
And this is the Greeley facility. Like I said, quite often it's just a regular looking building that you can go into, and that people go underground from a facility. So you can see it's kind of odd that you would have that big stack on just some small building like that. That's an indication that something's up. There's something wrong, and all the security cameras on a little tiny base. It's pretty high tech.
Yeah, they do. They have the security cameras everywhere. You know, these are those ones that follow you too, right? I used to own a security business for a while, and those are very sophisticated. Here's another link. See if this one was going to work for us. It's being
copy.
it might be because I turned it into a PDF. I might have to go. It might be some of those, but I bet you we can find these things by just searching on the title. Fort Greely plan. That's what we were looking for, I think. Yeah. So you guys will be able to find those that way if you get to the document. Looks like there it is. So a whole bunch of details about this right here.
Yep, on that specific dome at Fort Greely.
Just gonna see if there's anything else interesting here, so I just scroll through it real quick. All right.
And then the last one, of course, all of California that we know of is taken under white hat control is Mount Hayes.
So pluses are good. I like that.
Yeah, a lot of good pluses. In Arizona, have Fort, and people have corrected my pronunciation over, and I can never remember it. Sorry. So it's Huachuca. You can correct me again. I won't remember. You have the latitude, longitude there if you want to find the specific location to see if you can see things. If you go near these things, stay at a distance. pay attention to your surroundings. I had a person that knows me that went out to Dulce, and then he drove back to Colorado, and he got arrested in Colorado and taken back to New Mexico and held, and it took him quite a bit of money and legal work to get his car back and get the charges removed and all of that, and they set up a trap that he fell into and got all stuck and all kinds of problems. So be careful if you're inclined to do personal research. This the one I just spelled out, was for intelligence training and mind control. That means Mark Ultra genetics research, like we see with some of the children that they're hybriding, and also a detention camp for when they were going to do the end times type of things. It would be an area they would keep people. Then in Luke Air Force Base, that is still, I'm not remembering my equal sign. I think that's still under black. But as far as I know, Luke could you go back up for me and let me get back
get the new
coding? Yeah, under black at control. So Luke is actually currently being cleared out, just started. So
pluses are good, equals are bad.
Yeah. So yeah, there we go.
Destroyed's okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick.
Under battle, children rescue. All right. So there's the. All right. We went through. We were right here, right?
We're at Luke. Then Gates Pass is under White Hat control, as is Gila Mountain, which is south of the Interstate 8, approximately 30 miles east of Yuma at that latitude and longitude. Then at Grand Wash Cliffs, that's also now under White Hat, which is western edge of the cliffs at the head of the Grapevine Wash, which you reach through Highway 93 via unpaved roads. And that's a trick when you go to these domes. You take these small back highways and you see unpaved roads. You could just go out like your 4x4 and drive around and see what you see, and that's how you find these quite often. Mm-hmm. Also, Green Valley is now under White Hat control, as Hualapai Mountains, east side of the mountain range, about 35 miles southeast of Kingman, Arizona. The Rincon Mountain, north side of Rincon Mountain, is under White Hat control, as is Mount Lemmon, Page, Safford, and Santa Catalina Mountains domes. Scroll up, please, Rick.
Second, I have to mute somebody. I'm not sure what that noise is.
That was my wife. She's.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't the back.
My wife's having difficulties. We need to give her some prayers. She's having a situation that she's trying to deal with. It's very hard on her. Okay. So I would ask everybody to please put my wife Michelle in your prayers and help her with her situation.
We will.
So then Sedona, and then also is under White Hat control. That was a detainment camp, and there's also the Enchantment Resort in Sedona as well, which is in Boynton Canyon, which is in White Hat control as well. Then the Yucca Mountains, which was a nuclear waste storage that has stuff underneath it as well that is for hybriding. It has, you could see from I-40, the huge power lines going into the side of the mountain. I know everybody's gonna say it's just nuclear storage. And why do you have 4 huge power lines going into the side of a mountain for a very small nuclear storage? You don't need that kind of power. People think, use common sense, like Q says, discernment, logic, research. Okay. So scroll up, please, Rick. There's the entrance, what it looks like. And next to that, as you go down that road, you can see the big, huge power lines and a huge substation where even more power cables come into that. In Wickiup is also under White Hat control. In Arkansas, there's the Hardy facility, which is near Hardy by Cherokee Village at that latitude, longitude there. Scroll up, please, Rick. As well as this at Pine Bluff, which is now in White Hat control at that latitude, longitude. And in California, we have the Castle Air Force Base. That's undecided. The base camp at Pendleton, which has been cleared out under White Hat control. And if I remember, the caret means that, I can't remember his symbols yet. I need to write this down. It's not my symbols, it's high preparatory. I had to use different symbols. So I think that means it's been completely filled with rock. So 29 Palms Marine Base was a huge operation. It's still ongoing. Actually, it's under white hat control, but they have tunnels coming in that they're still fighting and blowing up tunnels and all of that. China Lake was completely cleared out. It was a massive, massive, massive operation. Massive amounts of children rescued. You see there, it was a big, huge spark grid, as well as a genetic research, and all kinds of terrible things were going on there. And it was destroyed by a tactical nuke. So you had first a small earthquake, well, fairly large, actually, the 6 area, and then it went to a 7.4. The aftershocks aren't stronger in a case of an earthquake than the original. And so this is the original earthquakes and all of that occurred. Hold on just a second. I gotta go. My door's banging back and forth with the wind.
We have noise going on everywhere, don't we?
Yeah. We have nice days, so I have the windows open, so it's banging my door back and forth.
Okay.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Yeah. I was having a lot of noise outside my house as well.
Yeah, I heard somebody racing outside your house.
Yeah, there's something going on. But looks like that there's the earthquake. California earthquake leaves Naval Station China Lake not mission capable. And this that interesting stuff. A full article about the so-called earthquake.
And you see how interesting, scroll back up there, the earthquake, you see that straight line with a cross on it coming off the side, an intersection? That's absolutely showing you that's a dumb. It's going along a line, very straight, with a straight 90-degree connection to it. Earthquakes don't follow like that. Natural fault lines aren't usually at 90-degree intersections under the ground. Or the earthquake.
Okay, the earthquake itself. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Versus it being random, it's very, very
organized. Yes.
Yeah, makes sense. And this is the picture I have on the back of me, right?
Yeah. So this is another thing. If you're looking for dumbs and you're curious about if there's some in some states, I may not have information to have vetted that out. It's exactly where the dumb might be in your state, because I know there's 2 in every state. You may have a state where I don't have vetted information. A way to start giving me information that I could vet out would be to look for this kind of thing that you see here, which is very satanic. It's actually one of the type of what is called a sigil of Satan. So that shape of the runways and the intersecting lance looking thing is actually what they call the Spear of Destiny. Up above that, you see a triangular formation on the ground with a symbol of the all-seeing eye. So just like we see on the back of the dollar bill. Yeah, see how it's oval in its shape they actually made it oval with the solar panels and all of that. It's representing the all-seeing eye with the pyramid and all. They do this. They love, as Q said, symbols will be their downfall. They love symbols.
That's China Lake. Wow. What a great find by our editor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, he's really quite amazing. Darwin is also due west of Darwin City, is in white hat control, as is Deep Springs at that latitude and longitude, also under white hat control. Go to the link, please, Rick.
Mm-hmm. This is my old, this is our decode from October 13th.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did Underground War here when we first started way back in October of last year, right?
Yeah. And I did actually want to give kudos to True Reporting, that he did a show in June with a little bit about some dumbs there.
Cool.
And so he was the first person I've seen that had any information on his channel about dumbs. So that's Thomas at True Reporting. Excellent work, sir. I was on his show with Linda Paris a while back. I did a short show with them called Behind the Headlines. And then in Fort Irwin is also under white hat control. That was a detainment camp in Edwards Air Force Base, also under white hat control, which is where Diamond Circle and the South Fork of the Yuba meet. And this is a picture of that.
Interesting.
And again, if you look at that, you see that that's actually what's called a ziggurat type pyramid. So you have the pyramid structure that flattens out at the top with the capstone missing, but goes vertical at one point, which would be where, if that were an actual pyramid, you'd have stairs going up that would take you up there.
Yeah,
And then the other side would be a vertical drop off. So you could, back in the days when they'd sacrifice people, they'd roll the head back there.
it looks like we have a all-seeing eye here too.
Yep. So you
This
can
circle
see
here.
that you're looking for that type of thing. When you're looking for DOMs, and you do, like if you look at where Annette Sivdance took our first decode, and she's panning around using Google Earth, you can see that what on some of them, you can see some of this symbology, and you can see weird little towers and an area out in the middle of nowhere with tons of antennas for no, with one building. I'm like, and they're not just 5G. There's all kinds of antennas, and then you'll have one of those silo type things, which is usually a tunnel that goes down. You see the swastika? Excellent work, High Vibratory. So he's showing you the patterns here, and the owl, little owl, the eyes.
Yeah, wow.
And you actually have a rabbit. You see the rabbit? It's a rabbit. It's a little rabbit. It's a stylized rabbit. And it's also stylizing a chromosome.
Wow, so this is just to the left of that, of what we had seen here. So
They got all kinds of symbols. They love their symbols.
Wow, and they got the all-seeing eye, you got the swastika, you got the owl, and you got the rabbit. They really went at it, this one.
And you have the chromosome. That's a chromosome, the little Y-like thing. That's a Y chromosome.
And where are you looking at that?
See below the owl's head? The green?
Right here?
Yep, Y chromosome.
Okay.
It doesn't look that way accidental. Like Q says, at what point does it become mathematically impossible to be a coincidence that you see these over and over and over again?
So this is all the Edwards Air Force Base. Interesting.
Yep. Also, George Air Force Base is under White Hat Control. Hellendale, which was a Lockheed Martin underground facility, is under White Hat Control. That's part of the Skunk Works system for the top secret technology projects for things like the TR-3B and the Pegasus, and more advanced projects than that, like the Dragon class. And then the Los Angeles facility is also now cleared out. That was part of the fires we saw all the way down to the in the previous video. And then we have it reaches down Highway 14 towards Edward Air Force Base after Palmdale. You turn off of 170th Street onto Roseman, and then from the Roseman intersection, and go down. There's a well-maintained dirt road that's lower to the west, and you go down that, and you'll see the power lines up to the hilltop coming out of the ground. And that's also a Northrop facility for technology for the Illuminati secret projects, which this facility is near the Tehachapai Mountains, and it's reported that it goes 42 levels deep. And it's heavily involved with electronics and high-tech aerospace research. Then the Mount Shasta facility, which is still under Black Hat control, is advanced space technology and for genetic experiments, magnetic advance, and space beam weaponry. That base is the most advanced base almost on Earth. It's past Area 51 and Area 52. It's also very ancient, and a lot of different things going on with different groups, both from here and from far away, that are doing all kinds of things. And so there's much activity if you go up there. I mean, the first time I went up there, I caught stuff on camera immediately. There's stuff rolling around that gets out of the labs. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on Shasta, so it's a crazy place. Wow. Then Kern River is now under White Hat control. That's a hollowed out mountain next to the hydroelectric facility at the Kern River project near Bakersfield, California. And Napa Valley, which was used to abduct people. They'd sign into the wineries. They would research them very quickly because they had big supercomputers, and find if they had anybody would miss them, and they just grab them and take them under. And so that was located at Oakville Grade, north of Napa, and the tunnels connect through all the wineries, like I was saying, and that's used to get people into the white slavery for mind control, as well as direct satellite communications, laser communications, continuity of government, in other words, their government, their deep state government. And that was located near the Oakville Grade, the main entrance for that in Napa County. It's an 87-acre underneath base there. It was massive. Norton Air Force Base, still under DARCAT control, is Quincy. And at that latitude, longitude, which is near Palmdale, they're battling their way all the way. They're still doing the Ridgecrest tunnel system too, which is huge amount of stuff under there. It's not just tunnels. There's all kinds of things they're finding coming off in every direction. So that's continuing. And to go to that one, you would, near the Quincy base, you would go from Palmdale up to Palmdale Boulevard and to 240th Street, and then go to Avenue R8 at the eastern limit of the avenue. And from there, you get to the McDonnell Douglas's facility called Uano. Uano facility is one that you can see better if you go across to the Three Sister Hills. You can see the facility much better there. That was involved in high technology and aerospace technology. The Presidio is still being cleaned out. There's lots of stuff going on there. It was much bigger than they thought. So it's 98% under white hat control, but they're cleaning it out as well. And so that was the site for the Region 9. Their plan was to divide the U.S. into 10 regions. That's the Region 9 headquarters for their continuity of government for the regions that were to be divided up once they took out the United States. And this causes the fires that we see here in this link from Porter Ranch, where they're cleaning that out. Like I said, these beings that are infected with Kuru, that the weaponized Kuru that they created at Fort Detrick in Maryland. Could people please not draw on the screen, and who did so, please remove that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
backstagers, please, please don't play with the tools. I think I can turn them off. I just haven't messed around with that yet.
Okay.
See what I did here. I wanted to come here and see if somehow I got that wrong link. See if I can.
I think you're right. When you put it to PDF, the links don't work anymore.
Yeah, it should work. It should work fine. I don't know if it's just because I have it so big and it's like only taking out part of it or something. But they should work. Pretty bizarre. Probably need to turn them into just a little statement with a link here. Let me try this one more time. See if I got the right. Twitter's not coming up very fast right now. See if this shows. Nope. Something went wrong with that link, so we're not sure. I'll get these links and test them next time for the next show. We have burnt through well over the hour, Gene, so I'm not sure if we're close.
Let's go ahead and take a stop here. We'll continue tomorrow or next show at number 40 and go on from there, and I'll write down these symbols so I can remember what they are.
And I'll get the links all working with the PDF. When I tried it with the Word document, it's so big. So here's what's going to happen, guys. This is kind of exciting. What I'll do is if you go to blessed2teach.com and sign up for the show notes, you will be able to see exactly what's happening here. So I'm going to go like here. If I go to blessed2teach.com, and that's working, you can sign up right here. You'll get the show notes sent to you every morning on your email. All right. And you'll see what will happen is like here's the underground war details from before, and you'll see there's all the stuff that we did and covered on yesterday. Okay. So you will get these in, and they render really nicely in WordPress, right? So you'll have those available. Now, if you want the whole thing right now and not want to wait for all 6 or 7 shows, join Backstage, and the whole PDF will be available. And what you'll do there is you'll just hit Backstage here. Again, there's a lot more than this exclusive content. We also have a Facebook type. Like I was locked out of my Facebook group I created from Facebook for sharing one video that they didn't like for 3 months. So I'm done with Facebook as far as really being real active. So if you really want to be on a place that we can be uncensored, come to Backstage. That's where I have that in the Kajabi platform. All my exclusive stuff saved on a Kajabi. It's recorded on Zoom platform. Then we have another platform. I have 3 platforms separate from YouTube. That's searching for high-speed searching and be able to on a cloud platform that allows you to find the exact word and phrase of everything we say. What Gene has said, what I've said, what Mark Taylor said, what Man of Grace has said, and then I also have prophecies as a separate thing. You can just go search prophecies, and then anything you miss live, you can join me 5 minutes or 5 minutes afterwards, and Gene and I afterwards as well. But you can also get anything that you miss live will be recorded on the Kajabi platform, same place where the Facebook type community is. So it's a great place. You just come and join us Backstage. It's $14.77 a month, but you can get a 45% discount if you pay for a year in advance for only $97. I think that's about $8 a month or so. So join us backstage, and you'll get that full PDF. Also, guys, just wanted to know that we are growing. This platform's growing quite a bit right now with everybody home, etc. So really appreciate you being careful about what emails you send Gene. He's getting over 300 or 400 a day, can't even keep up, and so important emails he may be missing. So if you can afford backstage, please get back there, and then we can put a question. We have in the community, we have a place for you to be able to quickly be able to see Gene, right? And so you'll be able to log in. You'll go to the community, and there's a place right here that says questions for Gene, and everybody will be able to share that and see it together, right? Versus him getting nailed with emails. And then just please, if you're going to email him, he wants to be open, but it's become overwhelming. It's almost becoming overwhelming for me too, the amount I'm getting. So it's okay. Please do email us when you have something, but make sure it's important. And we would really appreciate if you help us not get too overwhelmed right now with the number of emails. Before we pray, Gene, anything else you wanted to cover?
Yeah, just saying, where the casualties, if the white hats are involved in this, then how are they white hats? They're taking them out. That's how come. Where are the casualties? Did you see all the casualties where we've shown casualties even from Desert Storm or from any of those and from the takeout of ISIS? I mean, unless you're directly in the military and you see the CACO officers coming to people's doors, on base as well as off base. I've had to do that and telling families they've lost somebody. So I would advise people to, again, do your due diligence instead of just questioning things and attacking people. We need, where we go one, we go all. If we're going to attack each other, we're going to lose this war. That's what they want. They want you to divide it and question everybody and question everything. And if they say one thing wrong, then everything they know and everything they say to you is a total lie. But yet you trust the mainstream. We've trusted the mainstream media with trusted sources. How well did that turn out for us? Yeah. We found out that they're just Operation Mockingbird. Their trusted sources are nothing but lying. So trusting a source is something, including me, that you should not be doing. You should research the information. The source is irrelevant. The information is what's relevant. Research the information and find out for yourself. Like I said, it's easy to research and find the military is training for this, and they have the funding going in. Research by following the money. Look at the congressional budgets. Go to Supreme Court Law Library in the state you're in the capital of the state, and you can look up the congressional budget. It's published. It has to be. And look at the funding that they do for the military, and you can see what each funding is when they delineate it. A lot of times it's black ops, so you can't, and black budget. But for these ops, like the $500,000 for the Army to train, that's on there. All you have to do is go look it up. Stop calling everybody, attacking everything they say, and go look at a military cemetery and go look at the graves and the dates and things. Do your research instead of saying, where are the graves? Where are the bodies? Where are the things? Go look. That's very simple. So I don't mean to get peeved, but Riley, he doesn't believe that, right? So there's no kids, there's no nothing, but we see pictures, we see stuff. Go there and look. And instead of and then how come the hospital ship has incubators on it? I mean, come on.
I'll answer you why Craig S. does not believe this is because he is a controlled opposition shill, a very evil person. If you go research that on your own.
Go research him. Mm-hmm. He did some terrible things to his daughter. The children he rescued on the border were found on the dark web 2 weeks later. So his V4CR was put up as a 501(c) by Alex Jones. The monies they get every month are split 50-50. They don't report them on their taxes. And so if you want to give to children being rescued, please contribute to your local chapter of BACA, Bikers Against Child Abuse, where they go and literally protect children from their abusers and have guards around them 24 hours a day till the abuser is taken to trial. They escort the child into the trial to keep them away the abusers away from them. They're in the trials, like young girls are testifying against these terrible people, even family members that are abusing them. And the judge said, "Aren't you afraid?" And he goes, "No, because my friends, which these bikers you see here, are way more scary than the guy that was doing this to me, or the person that was doing this."
Yeah. Hey, I just want to say, if you have time tonight, and get you and your friends, forward this around. Out of the Shadows, a movie that is awesome by a couple of Christians that understand exactly what's going on. This is a great red pill movie. It doesn't go away so much where you can give it to a blue pill person, right? A person that doesn't understand this stuff yet. And it's very convincing, very well done, a movie quality, called Out of the Shadows. You go outofshadows.org. Outofshadows.org. Please share this movie like mad. I think it's going to be a great red pill moment for us all. With that, I always like to bring up some scripture, and I'm just going to pull something up real quick.
Now, while you do that, Rick, again, I would like to thank High Vibratory Photography for all this work. Please include my wife in your prayers so that she can get over her situation. I would ask that everybody that feels so moved to do so, I'd be greatly appreciated by me. And so that she can help me with a lot of things I need help with, because I'm just one guy. As Rick said, I started with my emails today. I was fairly caught up. I was at 302 before the show. I started going through. I'm down to 293 to go. So I do get emails from all over the world. I will get to you, but realize you'll be in a queue. Okay, so I go from the top up. From the bottom up. So I take the ones that came last and go that way.
I just want to make sure everybody's remembering to put on their full armor of God. Please ask Michelle to do that as well. I know she does every day. And we'll be praying for Michelle here in just a second. But guys, this is the Ephesians verses at top. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. That's what we're fighting right now. Verse 12 gets into, for our struggles is not against his flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of the dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Just wanted to make sure I just read those first few verses. It's pretty important. And again, the verse 10, don't miss. Finally, be strong in the Lord and his mighty power. That's what we should be doing now. Be strong in the Lord and his mighty power. This is not the time to fear. This is not the time to fight between each other. This is the time to get all our guns pointing at the cabal. Have confidence in our Lord. Be strong in the Lord and his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. This COVID-19 is the devil's schemes, the fake news enemy of the people. That's the devil's schemes. And our struggle is not just against the flesh and blood, but it's against these demonic, satanic people. Rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. That's what we're fighting. And we need to put on that full armor of God that we talked about yesterday. And let me pray. And Father, just thank you so much for your word of God, and the armor of God verses are just so awesome. Thank you for that Q, and the Q team understands the importance of the spiritual battle, and they keep posting this Ephesians 10 through 20 constantly, because they know that we as the remnant, they're depending on our prayers. They're depending on us all being in dressing up in Jesus, using the armor of God to be able to fight this satanic war right now that we're against those satanic pedophiles, Lord. May you expose them fully. And Lord, please protect those fighting in the front lines like Gene and the president and the white hats, Lord. And we just pray for Michelle. We pray for her right now, whatever her burden is, that you'll lift that, Lord. You'll be with her, and you'll supernaturally inject what you need to in there to solve that situation, Lord. And we just want to say a special blessing on everybody that's listening to my voice right now, that you will put on the armor of God, that you will hear from the Lord about how he wants to use you. Don't take it lightly. You are a red-pilled Christian patriot. If you are that, you are the remnant. You are the army of God. This is the time to be in battle with prayer. This is the time to do your own research, think for yourself, and pray with confidence and faith, not fear. Thank you, Lord. We love you. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Gene. I really appreciate your work. Thank you for the editor as well. It's been wonderful. This is going to be an Underground War detail. It's going to go for 7 or 8 times. Join us backstage. Get the full PDF now. I'll fix the links, etc. for the next shows. Can't wait to see you guys next time. God bless.
God bless
You
everyone.
just listened to the Blessed Teach Show. You're now empowered with the truth. Don't miss the edited short B2T clips on a new channel called B2T Clips.
Hold on.
A big thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and PayPal. You are truly appreciated. For the links to these sites, as well as links for show notes, Backstage with Blessed Teach, training courses, and more, visit blessedtoteach.com. That's blessed with the number 2, teach.com. God bless, and be sure to go empower others with the truth.